Welcome, everybody, back to the Blue Otter Masters League as we continue through the regular season at a rampant pace. I'm going to keep it short and sweet here. You got the Slayfire cast for you covering this weekend, and Bonfire teams jumping right into this draft, but we've got the 3-1 Akuma Sabers on that side. I almost forgot it gets flipped. And then we've got Viticulture Pinot on our left, the 2-2 squad. Kind of just a big game for the standings with how close this Blue Otter Diamond League is.
Yeah, and it's good early in the season, to have this much competition. It feels like playoffs already with all with the MLB and all these different teams. But it's only the regular season for both of these teams, but it does have playoff implications. So these matches matter all the same. It should be a heater, which is kind of an oxymoron because it is very cold where I'm at right now. But I'm keeping all bundled up. I got my warm fuzzy socks on, kick back. Unfortunately, I can't have a good glass of Pinot because I'm casting, but I would love to. You should at home, and it should be a fantastic matchup. Already some interesting bands coming across. Kindred, and the big one that sticks out to me that's kind of interesting is Zeri. Feels like she's not incredibly meta right now, but I think she's always just going to be an annoying ADC to go against because no matter how hard it is to get her going, depending on how strong she is, once she
Right.
does get going, she's going. So I imagine that's why they banned her out.
Yeah, on the other side, that Caitlyn ban coming through. We've seen the new tech on Caitlyn, which I find stupidly annoying. I'm just getting that off my chest. The first
Yeah.
strike, building that lethality, and you take what is it, Ultimate Hunter as well, so that you can just constantly ace in the hole the other AD carry, and it half hits me every game I play. I'm banning Caitlyn, to be honest with you. So I'm with Akuma Sabers' call here. Is B1 coming out from Viticulture Pinot is going to be that Rakan, and it's immediately answered by Akuma Sabers bottom lane. They're going to get that Kaisa locked in, ever strong, and Nautilus always a good answer to those kind of engage-oriented supports.
Yeah, I think that it's a good response from Akuma Sabers. I think Pinot doesn't feel too bad about it either. When you've got a Zyra Rakan, sure, you'd like to have a good laning phase, but lane dominance is never what you're going for. You're just looking to go even, or go a little ahead, and you're pretty happy about that. So Zyra Rakan going to be that bot side. I think both squads have a very very strong bot lane, and if you're as excited about Worlds as I am, I think this is a pretty good inside look at what the Worlds is going to look like this entire year. Keep an eye out for a lot of Zayas, a lot of Kaisas, and imagine a lot of Rakans and Nautiluses. This is very much what's in right now for the Worlds meta, and the bot lane has been kind of pigeonholed to be like this, along with the Caitlyn and Ashe sprinkled in here and there. So pretty interesting. And Oriana, we're continuing, and this is just
We're
Worlds patch.
We're rolling through Bonfire. Oriana recently got some big time buffs, and you want to talk about if the bottom lane meta is going to be pigeonholed for the rest of Worlds Tournament and League of Legends going forward in the month of October. I think mid lane is the most pigeonholed. I think you are playing around with Oriana, Syndra, and then you've got your answers to those two big time mages. You may see some victors in there, you always do. And we were talking about it off air. You pointed it out so well, Bonfire, that Akali and Silas also got buffed up. Those are kind of the 5 champions I just think are going to be on rotation all throughout Worlds, and we might even see one of them come back here for Akuma Sabers. They're going to save that counter pick past the bans here, and they're going to get in another champion that is seeing a lot of light in those boot camps over in Korea, Lee Sin. Now, that likely is going to be jungle, but to go back to that Worlds sort of narrative here, you might see Lee Sin go topside when we come to that big-time tournament. Not here, though, in the Blue Otter Diamond League.
Yeah, at least since been flexed in a couple of different positions in solo queue from a lot of pro players, mid and top especially. But imagine you'd see it in the jungle. But right now, Lee Sin, very, very good for an early game jungler, especially in a meta that really favors early skirmishing. So it'd be interesting to see if that Lee Sin can provide that for the Akuma Sabers. It'd be interesting also on the other side of things if Pino wants to ban out this Syndra, right? You talked about the strength that this scaling AP mid laner brings. And they obviously pick themselves up the Oriana, so they're not too concerned about shortening the mid lane pool for themselves. And Kuma Sabers pick themselves the jungler instead, and so they banned out the Ari. I think that's a great ban. I would, lend a ban for the Syndra as well. But
Why
that
not?
does mean that they're leaving 0 bans for top lane, and they don't want to do that. And so instead, they option over towards the Tryndamere.
Yeah, Trinomir. I mean, we're just rolling with this theme of champions that recently got some pretty big buffs. Trinomir, also one of the benefactors of that sort of set here. A lot of top lane bans from both of these squads. Is whoa,
Whoa.
who cares what I'm saying? Katarina locked in. Now, oh god, now Bonfire, this could only ever go one of two ways. You ever see Katarina's just pop off like they do in solo queue games when there's not a ton of CC to answer. Obviously, the Viticulture squad can answer with a bit more AP CC. They do have a good amount of them. Or when you do answer well, you can see what we unfortunately had to watch in the North American Challengers League when Shochi tried his hand at Katarina. And in competitive play, that's usually how Katarina plays out. Not well.
Yeah, kind of interesting right there. Definitely not in the world's meta. I'm not a huge fan of Katarina. I was casting recently, and I was mentioning how with competitive League of Legends, it feels like it's a carousel, right? Sometimes you get different champions in the spotlight. Sometimes it's other ones, but as a whole, the carousel pretty much stays the same. It's the same 100 or 80 or so champions across the board, and then there are champions that just never get on the carousel, like Timo, and there's just some champions that are just not competitive League of Legends oriented. And I really think of Katarina as one of those champions. She's in the same vein in my eyes as your Master Yi, in champions in that same book, where it's, yeah, they're great solo queue stompers, and if you want to go to diamond, sure, maybe that's how you get there. But when you play 5v5 with communication, it's just a difficult champion because you mentioned it, all of that CC. And I think Pinot was saying, all right, sure, you want to go Katarina? That's great. We're going to grab ourselves a Belveth and a Malphite and make your life just impossible to play.
Yeah, speaking of those carousels you were talking about, Fire, I want to make sure everybody knows that everyone here at Blue Otter is trying to help all you guys at home be a part of potentially some coaching carousels here, as we all are sponsored at the very bottom here by Coachify GG. New platform for esport coaches with zero commissions. You can sign up for free, talk directly towards your players. Anyone can quite literally make a public profile. So make sure to type !Coachify in chat if that's something you're interested in. And remember, guys, everyone starts somewhere, right? All your favorite players in North America, I guarantee you, were ranked gold or platinum at some point. Why not start there if you're thinking about coaching?
Yeah. I think coaching is. I wasn't sure if we were going to break or if we were gonna.
No.
I'm
Just
very
bounce
pro
off your
coaching.
carousel point. Yeah, Well, the
Yeah,
coaches drafted these drafts.
It's true. It's true. They're good drafts across the board. I don't think I could hop on Coachify and cook something better myself. The Katarina definitely throws an interesting wrench in the plans of Pinot, but I do think they responded pretty well. It's interesting as well because I don't know about you, with you cast quite a lot with your endeavors, but I've seen a lot more of the solo queue stomper assassin type mid laners being played right now. A lot of fizzes, throughout the last couple of weeks, and now this Katarina makes me wonder if this Worlds patch has really helped out assassin mid laners specifically, especially AP assassin mid laners, because I'm starting to see so much of them. I'm curious about what you think.
It's always like the catch-up game, right? Because you'll always have, no matter what meta you're talking about, you're going to have that clean-cut ideology on, all right, what type of champion is going to be the best in these situations. We kind of highlighted the fact that when it comes to supports, it's engaged supports. When it comes to mid laners right now, it's those big ability power-based control mages. Now, obviously, people are always going to be slamming them, prioritizing them in drafts, but you also have to game plan for games when you cannot get those types of champions. So, like you mentioned in the mid lane, those kind of AP-based assassins have been one of the attempted answers for champions like Orianna. We're going to see it in this game. And when it comes to these support champions, the engaged supports, the answer is usually those big-time peel supports. Engaged enchanters are tried, but they struggle, if they can get caught out a lot. You have to be a really well-positioned enchanter player. But that's also why we've seen with the rise of Rel, you've also seen the rise of Alistar, right? So it's always it's the tug and pull, it's tug of war when it comes to meta between two sides of the coin. And well, Katarina is one attempt to answer. I mean, when we talk about in the lane here, when it comes across and you're talking about for Maui or Mui, yeah, you before level 6, Katarina is going to have some onus. Obviously, it's melee versus range, but once you get your basic abilities up, you're going to be able to jump to those daggers constantly, really slip and slide and dodge out on a lot of this damage that will potentially come across from Alpha Blastoise. So it's going to answer some parts of this laning matchup, but we already highlighted Bonfire that it can get really problematic when you have to worry about those shockwaves, the Rakan knockups, Rakan charms, Bel'Veth's got a knockup, obviously Malphite Unstoppable Force. That's when it's going to get a lot trickier for Alpha Blastoise.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to as well, right? Like it's picked for probably the laning phase. I think that's what I assume they picked it for is they don't want to have to go against the Orianna. And with Orianna, it's the same old story, right? You pick to go even with Orianna, and then you get to late game and you're like, why am I so much less important? I went even. And so I think this is just a hard slam. You've got a Lee Sin jungle, you've got a Nautilus support. Might as well throw a lot of pressure mid, try to get some kills early, set this Orianna behind. But the realistic point is, like I was saying, if Alpha Blastoise keeps this even, keeps this close, throughout the laning phase and gets into that mid to late game, where it's more team fighting and less laning, and they get some good wave clear, I don't think they care very much. And so, a lot of the onus is put on this Katarina because they're not able to create their own leads. If they're not able to get ahead, then I do think that this pick could be one to regret. But we'll have to see. In terms of the team fighting, it's not to say that the Akuma Sabers don't have some tricks in their own books. And it should be an interesting one to watch. But I do think they're much better early skirmishing-wise. Late game, I do think that they fall a little bit off of a cliff with the Lee Sin and the Katarina. And I think that they're going to be wanting to go for these early Rift Heralds and Dragons and try to get, snowball the lead that way.
Yeah, if I had a dime, Bonfire, for the amount of times we've gone into a draft together talking about the ticking time bomb of a scaling comp versus a skirmish comp, I potentially could retire at the age of 30 in my mind. But we're here once again. Obviously, this is why I'm glad to join you on the Metacast we have, because you point out the great thing that this Lee Sin and Katarina are going to be the big things to watch. So you're going to have to watch out for Cafe Chicolata, and I believe it is Mui. So those are the two guys you're going to have to watch out for in this early game. And we're just getting early into this series. We're done with this first game number one draft. Let's throw it to a break so I can figure out how to speak words again, and we can get on to Summoner's Rift. Stick right with us. Who needs baseball? Who needs sports when you've got the Blue Otter Diamond League at its normal time on Saturdays? We've got a hotly contested matchup heading on to Summoner's Rift. But there's one item that we have to get out of the way here, Bonfire. We're going to be editing a certain top laner's name for this matchup.
Yeah, Dobbin. What the hell, man? No, obviously it's gonna be the Malphite. We've just decided to call him Ball Square, but hold on a second.
Oh my god, Dredgeline lands for Itchy Rat, and there is the Katarina already getting some good damage down as we get some level 1 shenanigans, just a trade of blows, but that is the power early of a Nautilus on full display there.
Yeah, and that's could be a potential warning for things to come here, because I do imagine Itchy Rat is going to make their way mid quite a lot. Nautilus, a very, very strong ganker, and I do think Kaisa is fairly self-sufficient. But yes, as we were saying, this Malphite, choosing an interesting name, maybe one that we don't want in our reels, and not as professional as one would hope. So it is going to be balls squared, kind of fun and a little bit more, I guess, tongue-in-cheek rather than directly in your face like it is on your screen. No pun intended.
I really hope though that because that's obviously not star rookie mid laner or jungler for the LEC G2 Yike there. Hope that guy doesn't cheer for EU. I hope he doesn't cheer for EU over NA. I'm just saying, man, we're gonna have problems. All right, we can't be, especially after Cage Roll just dissed us, right? We gotta unite. We can't be supporting the EU junglers.
I mean, realistically, NA and EU are both going to get horrendously gapped this Worlds. I hate to say it.
Oh, come on. Where's the copium?
They're actually, so normally every Worlds, I usually bring a lot of copium, and I'll say these outrageous things about, like, maybe this is the year that things happen, you know? I really think that, I don't know, JoJo looks good, or, you know, TL brings something to the table. And I think this year that the gap between NA and EU and the East is maybe the biggest it's ever been. And I think that it's going to be brutal. But I guess it can't be much worse than last year.
Oh, we talked about this already. Ganking power coming across for Guelfang Tang. Lands the Resonating Strike, goes forward with the kick, trying to burn down Alpha Blastoise. Good trade. Big double knockup from Mr. Yike there, slicing and dicing. One more auto, first blood, and a double up. What a turn for this Pinot squad. His bottom lane gets as crazy as the jungle, but no kills there.
That is a massive fight to have right there from G2 Yike. You understand why they were given the EU Rookie of the Year award when you make plays like that, because Alpha Blastoise was as good as dead right there. Should be 6 feet and buried, needing a system reboot on the Orianna, but G2 Yike on the Bel'Veth, huge double knockup, and then slashes and dashes their way through the Lee Sin and the Katarina, and that is just a disaster for the Akuma Sabers squad, because you were hoping to get an advantage, you were hoping to put Alpha Blastoise behind, but that has gone all sorts of haywire. Now you're down 1,000 gold, and the fact that Alpha Blastoise got one of the kills as well is just the dagger to end it all. 2 carries, getting the kills, Bel'Veth and the Oriana feels bad.
When you highlighted Bonfire, we talked about it in draft. You had to get to this Oriana early, and they've quite literally done the opposite. So now you've got Viticulture, Pinot in just such a great spot. They want to scale up. They have a way better, I don't know if we even touched on this too well, Bonfire, but their team fighting is explosive, but they scale in every damage dealing department across that 3-figure head they've put together.
Yeah, and that's what, I'm glad you highlighted that, because that's, I think, what makes them so dangerous. There's not one member that you can focus out. Sure, you might try to go for the Oriana in these team fights. It's easy, not a lot of mobility, but then you have to deal with the Xayah, then you have to deal with the Bel'Veth. If you go for the Xayah, well, first of all, Xayah has a million ways to self-heal, but also then you're not worried about other two people, but Ball Squared might be in trouble here.
Yep, ball squared, resonating strike lands, Guofeng Tang trying to get another big play, but almost takes that Q to death once more. Well-timed flash there from ball squared, and the pathing is great for Guofeng Tang, but he just is not timing these resonating strikes right. Gotta appreciate the effort, but the results are what really matters.
Yeah, I actually really like the attempt right there from Guofeng Tang. You might not have the damage for the Malphite, but you have to try it, especially with the health bar and you're an early game Lee Sin, and already getting out on the map early, again, getting some vision on the blue buff, actually stole it away from G2 Yike. So Guofeng Tang is doing Lee Sin things, and I mean, that's what you want to see on a Lee Sin. I think should be able to get out here, though.
Well, hold on.
Surely.
There's a lot of damage over top from that Royal Maelstrom, able to dash to his teammate, but now Muwei, who also has that teammate dash. Wow, look at Dawson go forward with the flash as well. Muwei might get caught here in the knock-up near his turret. One more slice, and Yike's got another. Will be traded out, though, at the end of the day.
Yeah, but still, that's huge from G2 Yike right there, and at this point, Akuma Sabers are kind of on the run at all points in time, and this is the issue. I'm not going to say with Katarina, because honestly, Guofeng Tang had no reason to be there. Did steal the blue, but cost the mid laner their life right there. But this is the issue when you're going against these squads with great communication. They just know where you're at, right? You want to try to assassinate somebody before they have a chance to get the rest of the boys behind them, but they're not able to do so, and you're always going to lose those 3v2s and 2v1s and 2v2s and stuff like that. It's a huge double knock-up from Dawson as well. Oh my goodness.
A lot of damage coming across, and Mystic Shadow is going to claim that one. Arch is now trying to hightail it out of heaven here. Has Flash and Cleanse available, still looking to duel, trying to get those stack spot up, dodges the knock-up, but dies for it. So a little bit egregious, goes down with both of his summoners, as that's 2 more kills into this Viticulture squad.
Yeah, Pinot is absolutely slamming right now on all cylinders at the moment. It feels like everything is working out for them. Mystic Shadow 2-0, Alpha Blastoise 1-0 and 2 with 43 CS, doing great in that department. And then G2 Yike making what feels like everything happened 2-1-1 on this Bel'Veth. The only lane that's not ahead is the top lane, but I mean, you're Malphite, so you're probably not too dissatisfied about that. So across the board, it really feels like this Viticulture squad is doing a fantastic job of scaling up and getting good early. They don't have to wait inside of that barrel for too long. They are not a wine that's supposed to be waited and dined upon after years of being fermented. This is a wine good after just a couple of months in the barrel.
Yeah, and it's already, like you talked about, showing some true colors. I do want to point out here is actually Dredgeline is going to land from Ichirat. Big return, though. Those feathers just doing so much damage. That's Featherstorm actually coming out from Mystic Shadow. It doesn't look like they're able to actually close on a kill down there. Just sort of stat checking is G2 Yike now pathing up for a gank. There's the unstoppable onslaught coming across. Big unstoppable force answer coming on top to Dobbin. Guofeng Tang also here, but G2 Yike, this is exactly where you want the Bel'Veth to be in. Good flash to dog the knockup, but they're not committing any of these kills yet. And look who's coming. Muwei, both mid laners are showing up. Somebody find a kill, and it's the Death Lotus from Muwei, who's actually gonna pick up one, put on tap for a second with the flash. He falls just short, and it's actually Alpha Blastoise to trade it.
Yeah, that is and that started off so great as well. Alpha Blastoise has to be careful because Guofeng Tang is there. This looks like they're not going to fall, but it just feels so bad again for Akuma Sabers because it looked like that was a positive trade. It looks like they were going to come out on top. Still can with Dobbin here.
Ooh, and look at this. The punish, you called it, Bonfires coming through. Beautiful kick into the queue for Guo Fang Tang. And he's finally on the board. Here is Akuma Sabers starting to show why they're resilient and why they're one of the few 3-1 squads so far in the Diamond League.
Yeah, and they needed that, right? I was making this point about how they had this great fight in the top side. They were showing that they can skirmish early and they can skirmish with numbers disadvantages. They did a fantastic job right there taking down G2 Yike. Ended up getting traded 1-for-1 with Mue falling, who's not having the best of games, if we're being completely honest, but they were able to punish Alpha Blastoise and make it a 2-for-1 and get that gold lead down to practically nothing. And so it ended up being a good trade for them. They got some kills in some good departments. Mui, even with 3 deaths, does have 2 kills. And then this Lee Sin, which needs to be doing better early, is finally starting to get some gold in their pockets to do so. But across the board, I do think, we've talked about this before, Viticulture Pinot are kind of okay with this position, right? They don't need to be winning so heavily right now.
Well, they're still going to try for it. They sent 4 towards the bot side. Rat is just going to be a sacrificial lamb on a spike. Killing spree now coming across for Mystic Shadow, and they're going to be able to position just so well to likely just jump right on this first Drake.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with how Viticulture Pinot have played this game so far. I mean, it doesn't feel like there's 5 members on the team. I mean, if you are a member of the Akuma Sabers, you must feel like they're cheating in some regard. Like they have 6 or 7 members playing the game. With how often they just are winning out in just the numbers battles. I mean, they often have more players at objectives, more players at skirmishes. Everybody's moving around the maps perfectly, and whether that's luck or more realistically, whether that's great communication and game planning, just doing a fantastic job of always being ready for fights. And it's coming up in their favor because of it, and they're always proving that prep is better than individual play.
So individual play right there, showing out as Rat did get that dredge line, but just out of range for Guo Fang Tang's resonating strike to land on there. And you talked about, though, you mentioned the gold lead's actually closer than for the kill score we have, and I'd like to direct everybody's attention, if you've ever seen it, to the major reason why it's Dobbin's pretty huge CS lead over balls squared right now.
Yeah, and that's great, right? Because it's keeping the gold lead close, it's making sure that Cyan's going to be in a good position, but as a whole, I'm sure you would want that gold in much better lanes, and, and it's great that Dobbin's doing so good for themselves, but I think you're right. Like, it's kind of a fraudulent gold graph because realistically, when it comes to the team fights, in terms of doing damage, it's going to be Mystic Shadow, Alpha Blastoise, and G2 Yike doing a ton of damage because all the gold in terms of kills and assists is in their pocket, and it's going to be Dobbin being able to take a lot, sure, but 0-1 Kaisa, a 2-3 Katarina, it's not really where they want to be.
But they are looking to be very present in this blue side jungle. Rat drops a depth charge. They're trying to jump on top of Yike. The Sonic Wave drops. There's the unstoppable onslaught coming forward. They've locked Austin down, and the pesky Rakan cannot get out. Big pick first time round, and now they've got ball squared, completely cornered. Big kick, and Mui is able to grab 2 massive kills right there. And here come the Sabers.
Yeah, and that is huge to have. Arch could find something on Mystic Shadow.
Ooh,
yeah,
there's the killer instinct. Trade of ultimates has the stacks. That's a massive shutdown for Arch.
Yeah, and that's really a huge lapse in judgment right there from Mystic Shadow because that is a huge shutdown to find, like you talked about. Feels like Mystic Shadow should have recognized that. Arch on the Kaisa is always going to win that 1v1 against Xayah. Xayah more of a team fighting AD carry. Kaisa loves to fight dirty, throw some sand in your eyes, ult on top of you, and before you know it, you're on the ground and the bully's kicking sand in your face. So never the fight that you want to take right there. And blink and you miss it. 2,000 gold lead, 2,500 gold lead for Akuma Sabers. That's just a disaster for Viticulture Pinot because all we've done so far is sing their praise about how they've handled this early game, how they've fought early and scrapped better. Take a couple of bad fights and suddenly, before you know it, they are down massively in this game.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to that point we talked about. The gold lead was close, and, the great macro play rotations, like Bonfire alluded so well, is such a big part of it. But when you're failing in the micro, those basic aspects like this big CS lead and, you know, keeping close tabs, there's CS leads across the board in 3 spots right now, that lets you get itemizations that can still allow you to make plays. And finally, those plays started going right for Akuma Sabers across those sort of two-pronged pick attempts we saw in the bot and topside jungle. And now it's just a whole different game here. This is where Akuma Sabers, you know, they didn't get there the way they wanted to, Bonfire. Got a little tricky, but this is where you need to be up in the mid game up against this scaling comp coming across from Viticulture Pinot. As wow, Lotus, Death Lotus comes out right there, and nothing really to be had of it. I thought that was going to be a lot more.
Yeah, it does force the ultimate out of Alpha Blastoise. Slayer, I do want you to, actually, let's watch this first. All right, making sure nothing happens. I do want you to make sure, I'm not going crazy here. That is an Umbral Glaive question mark on this Kai'Sa, or am I
it's
going
the new
blind?
Kai'Sa tech. It's the new Kai'Sa tech.
It is the new Kai'Sa tech. Interesting. All right. I guess I'm not up to date on my Kai'Sa tech. Run me through why that's better than anything else.
It's just there's been a buff to some of those lethality items, and Kai'Sa can utilize them, almost utilize them to pop Dawson. The killer instinct behind the lines. Arch is playing 007 out here. Here comes the response, though. Yike trying to get something done, gets no knockups, and barely dodges out on a dredge line. So once again, Yike coming up just a bit short, trying to get something back. We're starting to see the wet noodle fight hurt a lot more for Balls Squared down there towards the top side.
Yeah, I was mentioning how it was great that David was getting this advantage for themselves, but it might not matter as, hold on, skirmish in the bot lane.
Ace checking that brush, and man, do they pay the price. Guofeng Tang immediately dropped. Muwei shut down claim for Yike. He's going to get that big reset that gets so much more gold. My God, what a wipe for Pinot.
That is 4 for Pinot, and yeah, it goes well with the meal. That is a beautiful pairing in the bot side. All Squared might be losing.
Oh, Dobbin! My God! The Heartsteel damage is on full display right there.
Yeah, Dobbin is showing out. The rest of the team falls, but Dobbin said, fine, I'll do it myself. This is a massive Scion tank. And yeah, like you said, the Heartsteel getting it done for themselves. But the big play right there was in the bot side, because now Viticulture Pinot, excuse me, is back in this game. They've got kills in the right places, but still, it does feel like the unstoppable onslaught of David is coming. I mean, this is just an unbelievable showing from the tank. Not often do you expect a 70 CS gap on the Scion, and not only that, 2-0 and 3, and is one of the main reasons I think most people are expecting this Akuma Saber squad to be so dangerous in the game coming forward. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, and he's itemizing really well. I mean, the only person that's going to really hurt Dobbin is going to be Alpha Blastoise's Orianna, who does have some good itemization, right? Don't want to take away from that, but it's really hard for Oriannas to blow up tanks with that much HP. So I love the fact that he's gone Sunfire Heartsteel to reinforce that armor. He's actually picking up a pickaxe. And last I checked, I don't think Scion really ever builds pickaxe. I'm really curious what that's going to turn into with this lead he has.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. I do think that when you are 2-0-3 with this much of a CS difference and you're seeing the damage that you can do, I don't hate it, right? Scion can sometimes do sneaky damage, but as a whole, you want to build tanky. But I think you'd imagine with all. Oh, here we go. We might see the pickaxe in action.
Oh, swings right by. Alpha Blastoise still safe. Doesn't even get slowed up, so that was a bit of a stat check, as Yike is going to stat check this Katarina from Mui, who's trying to dash away. The Ignite over his head isn't enough. Dawson flashing forward, but his autos just tickle this Katarina. Another big shield for Guofeng Tang. They're still chasing, but they just can't gap close. There's the knockup, but the blast cone comes first, and Mui escapes sudden death.
Oh, Mui able to escape with their life right there, and that's important not only because it's a kill, but also got to start building those Dark Seal stacks at some point. Right now, not too big. And yeah, that's that Heartsteel proc. Holy moly, that is some damage.
Balance.
I really do feel like, I mean, it's unbelievable to say, but is it crazy to say that this Sabers squad, I feel like their win condition is the Scion? Because right now they are up in gold, but I feel like mostly we've seen that in the Scion's favor. And yeah, I mean, they're just side laning Scion to the this incredible ability. It's unbelievable right now.
Oh, and Yike is still looking to be a menace in this red side jungle, but he's too far alone. Big hook from Itchy Rat, and Mui gets his revenge. A bot turret courtesy of Dobbins, and they're going to get more topside. Big flash from Mystic Shadow. That knockup is actually going to save him. Arch so close to death, but Mui, one more spin of the blade, will find it. Gets one, picks up another. The lovers are dead, and so is Alpha Blastoise, who died to Dobbin in the side lane.
This is what I'm saying. This is a Scion side laning. I mean, the Baus would be proud right now. Unbelievable work on the Scion, and I think Mystic Shadow is going to watch that back and be kicking themselves because had an opportunity to trade out a kill there, walk up a little bit and kill Arch, but instead continued to run. Ended up falling and not getting that kill, and it's unfortunate, right? Because this Pinot squad had showed signs of life. They'd shown that they had money in the carrier's pockets, and just not really showing out that way right now. I don't know if Yike wants this.
Yike, you're 4 levels down. What are you even trying here? This is like a toddler trying to take on a ninth grader.
Out there.
Oh my god, I guess he's just baiting, because Dobbin's now going to get the 1v3 assignment. Yike is going to utilize that grounding for him to get a bunch of healing, but he has to flash from a knockup. Dobbin really has no way out right now. He's slowly burning as another shield. Just kill the guy already! Okay. Finally, the shutdown comes across for Yike, but oh my god, look out for that possessed form. They're not going to find anything. I'm just in awe right now of this Scion.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's unbelievable, right? Because I don't think I was wrong in my assessment earlier about a Scion. You just never expect the Scion to be this much of a problem, but I don't know. Domin built differently, I suppose. And yeah, 3-1 and 3 did give over a pretty large shutdown, which is, you know, something you never want to do. But I guess when you're up 4,500 gold, do what you want. And is the richest person on Summoner's Rift by a long shot. Is that 5,000 against the league counterpoint?
You betcha.
What's going on?
This is why you have to tune into the Blue Water Diamond League. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, you know, Bonfire, we've seen big gold leads, but I think we've seen 5,000 gold leads in some blowout games. But like you painted so well of a picture, it's a tank Scion with that gold gap. He went Hole Breaker. Oh my god, I thought he was gonna do it. He's just gonna be a side lane menace.
I mean, when you're this fed, yeah, I guess that makes sense, right? Who cares about tank Scion tanking up the damage, because I think it's more dangerous to have them on the side lane. And yeah, now you thought the Scion did damage before. How about that?
Ooh, here we go, though. The CC chain coming across from Pinot. They get Muwayne in a comfortable spot. Here comes the Malphite. That's a big blow up. Trades galore as they find 2 big carries. And Dobbin is here now. The big carry. He's got 6,000 health, and he's unkillable. But all of his teammates are very, very susceptible to these damage dealers. Yike is going for the Nautilus. Dobbin just trades Dawson out, but now he's all alone. Let's see it. Come on, Dobbin. This big-time Scion, you got the Hole Breaker procs for you now, but you have to land the knockups, and they're just dancing around him. He can't hit him at all. There is no chance. It's Goliath going down to David there, as it's an ace for Viticulture Pinot.
This is, I don't say this often. This might be one of the craziest games I've casted in a while. This is insane. Viticulture Pinot now back in this game. They're going to get some stuff across the map because of it. I'd imagine this mid turret's soon to fall, although with Arch here, you never really know. Ball Squared has to be careful because of it. But still, they get an ace. Uh-oh. Hold on. Maybe it's swinging again.
Uwe took teleport for a reason. There's a big Death Lotus. Good flash from Balls 2. And he will begrudgingly walk away safely. And yeah, I don't even know. What do we even talk about with game state here? Because I feel like whatever we say, the opposite's about to happen.
Well, I feel like I had a pretty good read on the game when Pinot was ahead. Then they gave over a bunch of kills. Dobbin got massive all of a sudden. Now Dobbin has died twice in a row, and we're realizing that, yeah, maybe Scion can't do it all and needs some help from the damage department, which, by the way, they still don't really have. I mean, there's not a ton of damage on this Pinot squad, or excuse me, on this Sabers squad that's ahead. It's a 7-5 in Katarina, but what is this Katarina doing? They're not really blowing anybody up. It's just very difficult to do so in this game state. I don't know. We'll see right here. Honestly, I have no clue what's going to happen.
You know, I feel like we're just going to get steal here with what we've been seeing here. Wolfang Tang didn't land the Sonic Wave, though, so doesn't even get into the pit. And they're going to try and cut off exits. They have Yike kind of cornered, dashes over the wall there. Muwei cutting him off from the rest of his squad, so they at least send Yike high side. but they're not chasing him. And is he gonna go for the execute here? He's pushing towards the turrets. The rest of his squad, oh my god, he's gonna try and cheater back. He canceled it. So now Yike's trying to fight his way out here, and my god, does he do a stupid amount of damage. Under that tier 2 turret, he's just trying to delay. Mue will find the shutdown, so you end up trading 1 death for Baron if you are Viticulture Pinot.
Yeah, but I think you're pretty happy about that. You know, as a whole, the Baron buff across the board for the entirety of the team, and Yike that does end up falling, and I think gave over a shutdown as well, but still, across the board, they took the Baron right under the noses of Sabers at the 22-minute mark. You don't see that very often, especially with how even of a game state it was. In fact, they were behind, and so they just did it. They called their bluff successfully, and it's just kind of an insane game. They are down in towers right now, Pinot, down in gold, up in kills, and up in dragons, and have a Baron under their name. So just a very, very, very strange game. But I will say, the one thing I do know, the one thing that is very true for League of Legends is that Lee Sin falls off a cliff at a certain point, and that is coming soon. This Lee Sin 1-3 at a certain point is going to stop hitting like they did early game, and that needs to be a cause of concern for the Sabers.
Yeah, Guofeng Tang has to realize that he will kind of be a kick bot. He's got to be a playmaker now instead of trying to utilize the damage dealing. He is trying to set up towards this top side near his Wraith camp. He's just taking his Wraith, but you don't really want to contest a tier 1 up against Baron at this point. There's very little to do there. And like we talked about, this is why the Hole Breaker might be a bit of a rough call here for Dobbin, is you do have to side lane, but how much are you going to trade here? You've already lost 2 of your mid turrets. When does he decide to group up with his team?
Yeah, and they don't have a front line without him, right? Ichirat, kind of a front line, but Nautilus doesn't really build that tanky. You know, it's definitely, it's more engaged as, uh-oh, here we go.
All right, so he farmed his Krugs. Now to set up this flank, Shirelius popped from Dawson. So they're actually trying to chase him down, and they won't dare go over that tier 2 turret.
The quickness.
Yeah, the quickness does come out as well. Dawson not able to charm anybody up. They're going to try to use that Blast Cone. The Unstoppable Onslaught, though, will make sure Balls can't go over, and he has to use his own ultimate to get over that Baron wall. And while you do like getting a couple ultimates, some summoners down, if you're Akuma Sabers, you just gave away all your mid turrets for free.
Yeah, that's 3 towers down for 2 ultimates. And hold on, we might have another fight here. Of course, why not, you know?
Oh, yeah, they don't have the quickness. They don't have a ton of CC. Yike in the middle of everybody. That's where you want that Bel'Veth to be big. Death Lotus comes by in, and pop goes the Weasel. Mue gets 1. Mystic Shadow does end up limping away very low. Arch is starting to free hit now. Alpha Blastoise goes golden, trying to flash away. He's going to get knocked up, though, by Dobbins. Arch has the damage. Can they kill off this Orianna? They can. Ball squared in the middle of all the only frontline falls. It's the bottom lane left for Viticulture Pinot as this game continues to swing on a pendulum. Arch gets rooted up. Can't find any of those kills off the Killer Instinct. Guofeng Tang needs to land 1 big Sonic Wave, trying to close the gap. There's 1, able to get the kill to Mystic Shadow. He flashes too late, and Guofeng Tang finally comes alive. It's an ace for Akuma Sabers.
Because why not, right? If this game couldn't get any crazier, it just needed to, just a little bit more right there. G2 Yike in the middle of everybody in that entire fight fell before they really had a chance to do a lot. And yeah, while they did get some high priority damage across, they were missing a lot of ultimates like we were talking before. No quickness from Rakan, no unstoppable force from this Malphite. And so at the end of the day, they don't have any CC on Arch, on Mui, on Guofeng Tang. And because of that, they're just free hitting this entire time. They're focusing down Dobbin and Ichirat. And at the end of the day, I mean, the damage is just going to be way too much. We're not able to withstand it. That is the 2nd dragon for Akuma Sabers. They're able to take another turret in the mid lane along with that ace. So now the gold back in the Sabers' favor in a big way, up about 3,500. But with the way that this game state is, I would not expect it to stay that way for very long.
This is game 1, Bonfire. How the hell are we going to make it to another 2 potential games?
I'll tell you how with some of with this Viticulture Pinot's name state. Lots and lots of alcohol should keep us going.
Oh my gosh.
This is.
You know, it's funny. This game has me the opposite effects that alcohol would normally do. I feel like I've gotten a shot of energy drink straight into my veins.
I know. I just woke up, and this has definitely woken me up as need be. This is a 5-hour energy straight to the face as Dobbin continues the reign of terror. I'm going to say something. I believe almost every single turret, I think everything but the tier 1 and mid lane has been taken by Dobbin. I truly believe Dobbin has taken 5 turrets by themselves.
Oh my god, now he's getting chased down by 3 again. He is committed fully, by the way, to armor stacking. I don't hate the play. So Alpha Blastoise can chunk him decently, but Mystic Shadow and Yike are quite literally just going to tickle this guy.
Yeah, and I think that is a cause for concern. Also because, you know, this is a 5, 2, and 4 Scion with, don't look, 254 CS.
Then Horizon.
Second most in the
Horizon.
game.
You Flame Horizon.
Flame Horizon on Scion. And Scion has that passive, which gives you more health. And so, it's a pretty big Scion. Pretty big Scion. So killing this is going to be raid boss #1. And then you got to get through a Nautilus. Then you got to get through a Lee Sin. It's just not going to be easy to get to this Kaisa. And that's why this Akuma Saber squad feels so good about this game state. I mean, they are just... Look at this.
Oh,
look at this. Ball squad is just free hitting on Dobbin.
He's taking turret, by the way. He took 10 turret shots. He is a Thormail, so... Well, whatever. The fight's going to break out on the other side here. Dawson getting some good charms up, but where did Yike just go? Didn't even get to that grounded form, and the Katarina pops Dawson. Mystic Shadow and Alpha Blastoise have to run, but here comes Dobbins, baby. The unstoppable onslaught is way too big for Mystic Shadow to deal with, and this wacky game might finally be reaching its conclusion. Akuma Sabers are onto the base.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying it, but Dobbin on Scion was the biggest reason they won that game right there. The numbers are going to look great for Arch and Mui, don't get me wrong. The KDA saved, but Dobbin was... I mean, this is the biggest reason why they won this. Unkillable did damage as well. Alpha Blastoise is going to die once they come out of this. It's over.
Oh! What a shockwave there! Alpha Blastoise gets 2 big kills, and this wacky game 1 might have another chapter. They can't kill the Nexus bonfire. They saved the game. Viticulture Pinot have now forced Dobbins to ult out, but he gets flashed on. Balls squared, cancels it out right when you thought they were done. In the darkest night, Viticulture Pinot have aced Akuma Sabers and saved their game 1, and they might even teleport up and just try to end the game themselves.
I mean, that is their best play, I suppose. They are down a lot of gold right now, and they're an open Nexus, so... Oh, hold on a second!
Oh, no
my
way.
God, our producer has highlighted this.
Mui
fully
has
committed
CP.
to this. But if
Mui
they
has
take Baron, surely they have a quick enough recall. Mui's TP,
Are we gonna call it?
Mui,
He's
you
not
have to
TP.
go for it. Mui, you have to go for it. Oh,
He's not.
That's sad.
Well,
Oh,
how
now they're
long are the
gonna
wards
back
going to be
him.
there?
No, but they're gonna back, and they're gonna see this as well. Surely, yeah.
Oh, right. I didn't realize that was in Fountain Vision. Wow.
That's sad.
That feels like that.
Actually,
That's how this game had to have ended, right? Like, I mean, that would have made so much sense.
I think Mui could have taken it. I do think Mui could have taken it. I think it would have been difficult. You know, it's an AP Katarina, and you know, I think if they had got Baron recalls, it would have been a lot more difficult. But I think Mui could have taken it. They were all committed to that Baron, and they hadn't taken Baron yet, so they still would have had regular recalls. Teleport's like 2-3 seconds long. I think Mui could have done it. We'll see. I still feel like they could probably take it, you know, with one divisive, clean team fight. But you have to start to wonder, you know, is that going to cost them later on?
Well, they're going to still try and fight here. They're going for Dobbin, and that's not usually the smart plan. There's a big knock-up, just a bit of teasing. They get the Featherstorm out of Mystic Shadow there. So that's a big ultimate down. Mystic Shadow does have Flash, but that's the Dobbin control.
Damage.
Oh my god, wait, look at this. Look at the Belveth wave, though. They're popping Shirelias. Are they going to try and run right up mid with all these Voidlings? They've got... what is going on? Dobbins now... Oh, he tried to ult to the base! They canceled it out! He couldn't get past the team, but do they have the turn coming across? Big charms. Mui immediately pops Yike. There's the unstoppable force. A big shockwave, but no kills come across. Mystic Shadow, big feather pullback, is able to pop Mui. And the fight continues here. It's now Guanfang, Tang, and Arch left. And what can they do? It's a Baron wave for Viticulture Pinot. They have to go for a play or the game is over.
They could just go for the end, right? I mean, they could just walk towards the base. This is
Oh
gonna be a
no,
base
no, no,
race.
no, no,
I
no,
want off
no,
this
no,
ride.
no.
I want off this ride. I want off this ride. I don't want to be here anymore. Okay, they're backing. They're sending one back, but that's a 2v1 in the base. They're gonna teleport as well. They're not gonna get hold them all by themselves. This is not gonna.
Oh.
They're not gonna work. I mean, they can
Oh,
just
here
take
they-
the base.
Here they go. Okay, they have Alpha Blastoise back. They need to burn them down. Arch isn't focusing the Nexus. Guofeng Tang is. They're trying to burn the Orianna, but there goes Arch. There goes their hopes and dreams. But they stall out the game. They force all of Viticulture Pinot back to their own base.
Oh, okay, all right. So they did the right move. I thought they were only going to send the Malphite. Thank gosh they sent everybody because they needed everybody right there with how elusive the Lee Sin and the Kaisa can be. That's Baron down. So I don't think there's any worry anymore that Pinot can sneak a win right under their noses. They're going to have to go for it the hard way, which is going for it through dragons and barons and such. But they always have to be concerned about Domin just straight ulting. And so Blastoise has to back, soon, because if Domin just pops ult, they have to be concerned that they can just walk into base. Blastoise is finally defending, and I can breathe. I want off this ride. Oh my goodness gracious.
It's just, I'm sorry. I have no, I don't know how to react to this game. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves, Bonfire. How could this game get any more chaotic? Because I think we've checked nearly every box except the back door's working out.
Yeah, this is insanity.
A Baron Steel, maybe? That's what we're missing?
This is craziness. This is genuinely craziness. I think I think Pinot suddenly has found a way back into this game as well, because now they're even in gold, but their base is open, and that remains for the rest of the game. So they really need this inhibitor to respawn. Finally, it does. And so they can't just sneak it under their noses completely, but with no turrets in the mid lane or in the base, it starts to get a little concerning, because if they let one or two members go for a back door, they 100% could. On the other side of things, I don't feel like the Sabers feel that comfortable either. Sure, they have their Nexus turrets, but they don't have a mid inhibitor. And so if they let a wave get through, that can be concerning as well. Nobody feels safe. Danger across the board. Dogs, friends with cats. Nothing is known.
All I know is that the scaling factor for Viticulture Pinot is on full display now. I mean, they've got Kaisa is at full build. They've got Alpha Blastoise at 4 items. The Orianna's online. Yike, even though he keeps kind of getting caught early in these fights, Belveth can become pretty unkillable when she gets a lot of items in her kit. So you can see why Akuma Sabers are trying to get a little crafty with these late game plays. It's almost like they realize that straight up 5v5, they might not win anymore.
Hold on a second. Is that an abyssal mask for balls squared? I guess it is. All right. So
because Kaisa also ended up going, she's got 3
almost
AP
full
items as well.
Yeah, like pretty strongly AP. All right, just itemization is kind of crazy across the board. I still can't believe Umbral Glaive Kaisa is the way to go nowadays. I guess I missed that patch. I was still expecting to be something else. By the way, Domin has 303 CS again.
He has
Second or
8,000.
third.
He's 8,000 health, by the way, as well. Just want to point that out. 8,000
Oh my
HP.
goodness gracious. And as gargoyles, so at any point in time could just get even stronger in any team fight. I just don't know how you're able to deal with Domin at this point. Has to be through Blastoise, but yeah, best of luck. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so
And
this game
Blastoise, wait,
continues on.
Blastoise barely has any armor pen, or excuse me, magic resist pen. It's literally only his Sork boots. Hold on a minute. They're going for Guofeng Tang. There's the quickness out. Scion ult on the other side. Good cancel once again for balls squared. Domin, the inhibitor is down, so he can't just run at the Nexus. He's gonna try and run towards the base while the rest of his team has to fight it out, but they just blow it right up. Muwei, his Katarina, we question the pick, but it is on full display. A double death lotus. Alpha Blastoise is gone. Everybody is wiped off the map. Muwei's quadra kill just won Akuma Sabers the game. We're finally free.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. Muwei, I mean, it had to be Muwei, right? It had to be Muwei after all of the criticism we had for the pick, out of everything we saw, and we believed against the Katarina. It had to be Muwei winning that one for them, and we're finally off the ride. We're finally free from whatever the hell this was. I know it wasn't League of Legends. It was, I don't know, Dota 3, just insanity across the board. Akuma Sabers picked that one up, and that has got to be one of the wildest games I've ever casted. Just insanity for all 38 minutes of that game.
So I don't know what Blue Otter, you guys at home, Pop Tart, BOL, you guys are gonna have to answer. There's something weird about these leagues because this is a wacky ending in the Diamond League to Game 1. If you missed the Masters cast last week, they had a Trick 2G backdoor to win a game to send a team to playoffs in game number 3 of their series. I don't know what's going on with these leagues at Blue Otter, but I am completely captivated as we look at post-game stats. I mean, just look at Dobbins' damage, man.
Yeah, 36,000 on Scion is nothing to scoff at. It's funny as well because I first thing that I noticed was 14,000 on Lee Sin is awful Lee Sin damage. I'm sorry to point it out, but it's horrendous Lee Sin damage. But 36,000 damage on Scion is absurd. And then they almost blew that game as well. Look at that gold difference. Yeah, they were up 6,500 gold and then gave them the lead. That still was able to win because Scion moment, I suppose. 29 kills across the board for both teams. Both teams got themselves 29 kills. But I mean, truly, right? You can talk about the damage that this Katarina did. That quadra kill at the end definitely helped pad the stats. But if you don't think this is a Dobbin diff through and throughout, you are 100% wrong. They lose this game without Dobbin on the server.
Yeah, they certainly do here. So Dobbin, take a bow, sir, but don't take too much time to celebrate here if you are Akuma Sabers. You're up 1-0, but it's a best of 3. That's how the regular season plays out here in the Blue Water Diamond League. So we need a break. I'm sure everybody at home needs a break as well. We're going to go to intermission here. We're going to go to intermission here, and we'll go to Game 2 draft, and who knows what we'll get into as this series goes on, but we'll be here to take you through it. All right, everybody. I hope everybody has strapped back in, collected themselves. I hope these players have watched that game one away because that is quite literally the craziest game of League of Legends I've single-handedly casted. And now we still have to play out the series here. We're already in the game 2 draft, and Akuma Sabers are actually on the blue side. Is Viticulture Pinot have decided to swap after a harrowing loss.
Yeah, it's a tough one to lose for sure, especially when you feel like that composition actually was, a pretty good one. I think we both credit it for a lot of reasons, but just didn't deliver, and it felt a lot like some solo queue games where you just feel like across the board you have a really good composition and you favor yourselves if it does come to team fighting, but there's just one thorn sticking out of the side. That game, it was the Scion. So those are always the least fun games to lose, and could have some mental repercussions. If they, think too hard about it or get too far in their head about it. I always talk about the mental side of League of Legends. Sometimes you can lose that edge. So it'll be interesting to see if they lose that. We obviously can't tell until the game, but you can also look at draft towards that. And it looks like right now they aren't feeling too worried about it, keeping the same bands, not too concerned about how they lost.
Yeah, that's a good point to make here. And I do like the fact that they haven't immediately decided to switch up their draft and ban Dobbins to Scion. Like, we sung the praise of his Scion. Like, it's a one-of-a-kind Scion game. But Scion is a champion that you can very well counter through draft and game planning. Obviously, when you go up against the Scion and Malphite lane, you got to think that in their heads, Viticulture Pinot were like, all right, this is just a wet noodle fight, right? We don't have to worry about this lane. We don't have to worry about targeting Dobbins if you select Scion. This time, I like that you don't ban it. You can go back and punish him in multiple ways if he tries to play that Scion again. So we'll see how that plays out. Is so far, these two teams are actually mirroring their drafts despite the fact they've swapped sides.
Yeah, I think both bot lanes. I don't think neither were an issue. I do think that the Xayah did some great things, and I think the Kai'Sa did some great things at the end. So I don't think either of these spot lanes really want to switch it up too much. And indeed, they're going to stay exactly the same. I would have changed the Lee Sin personally. I think that the Lee Sin didn't really find as much effect as you might want, especially in the early game. But I also think that the Lee Sin was making good moves, and Go Feng Tong is a Lee Sin main. So I do think that. There's a world where a couple of those early skirmishes that were so close and ended up going in favor of Pinot could have gone towards the Lee Sin. And so I don't hate it, right? I think that the stats and the damage probably don't look as good, but a couple things go differently, and we're singing the praise all of a sudden. So I do think that this could be a good game for Gofeng.
Well, we're finally going to see our first unique champion change from game number 1. Is you rarely ever see a mirrored draft when swapping sides. That's kind of the reason why you swap sides, is to change up drafts. And we're going to see the Rel come out, and it's already locked into the jungle. Sometimes you see Rels get selected early to try and, throw off other teams. Nope, you have the Rakan already down there. So that means this Rel is going towards the jungle into G2 Yikes hands.
Yeah, I think that it probably works out better for Yike because as a player on the Rel, or excuse me, on the Belveth was just consistently in the middle of the team, and it's not really where you want to be when you're the Belveth. You want to be hanging around the outskirts, dashing in and out of the fights, and so I think Rel probably a lot more suited towards their play style, and I'm excited to see that. There's the Scion ban that I think we were expecting. It'll be interesting to see at this point because usually with top laners, right, you've got really good tank top laners that maybe go even or do a little bit better than that. And, you're like, wow, that's a great tank player. And then you have good carry players that get ahead and do a ton of damage and are a huge problem. That was both of them for Dobbin. So now the question is Dobbin normally a tank player who, just got super far ahead and, often doesn't get that far ahead? Or are they a carry player who played a tank like a carry? I guess we'll have to see. I don't really know Dobbin well enough to say for sure.
Well, I do know what I can say for sure when it comes to players and their champions. Alpha Blastoise has gotten really heavily targeted, as it's not going to be his time to get picked. They're going to leave the R5 counter for him, but he is a very heavy Lissandra player. I know you'll like that, Bonfire, but also they'll take away his Orianna, who was hit or miss, had some pretty bad shanks when it came to those shock waves, but also actually saved the game with that huge shock wave the first time round when their Nexus was getting jumped on. So if you are Viticulture Pinot, they actually don't want, or sorry, Akuma Sabers don't want to mess with that again in game number 2. And here's
There we
the
go.
wow, here's a shift up. You're talking about what type of player Dobbins is. We just figured out.
Yeah, Gangplank just saw some buffs, kind of back in the meta right now, and it is one of the best blind pick top laners in the game. Obviously, not blind picking it here, but I think Gangplank always pretty happy about going into an Ornn. Nothing too crazy about it. And if you're Ornn, this just makes getting CS so difficult because you're just consistently getting hit by those barrels whenever you try to get any form of CS. I've played the matchup before. Very, very annoying, especially late when the apparels actually start doing, huge chunks of damage to you. And even with all of the Ornn health that you get, they chunk you down and they will get to you. So Gangplank, very annoying for Ornn to go against. It's obviously not as much of a counter pick as, say, a Fiora or a Camille or a Gwen would be that does true damage. But the Gangplank, annoying nonetheless. And then the Azir, which I think was the flavor of the month for Professional League for this whole summer, but did get nerfed recently. So it'll be interesting to see if those nerfs are felt versus the Victor, who is just perennially good.
Yeah, it's a double style switch up for Akuma Saber's solo laners here. You talked about, obviously, Dobbins played like a damage dealer on the Scion. Gangplank, you play completely differently for Scion. And Azir is, while still an ability powered champion, playing completely differently compared to that Katarina, except if you're going for some crazy Shurima shuffles, in my mind. Looks like we're going to have a snooze fest in the mid lane. Victor versus Azir, right? They're both kind of content with handshaking. And I'm curious to see where Guangfeng Tong goes in this game number 2. Because while it didn't work out a lot, he really tried to get Mui in a spot to succeed. There's not going to be really any reason to gank mid. Maybe he will go back towards Dobbins and try to help that Gangplank. Got to do something on this Lee Sin, like we talked about last game.
Yeah, I will say my concern for this Akuma Sabres squad when looking at it is while the Azir is a great pick on paper, you get the AP damage, really good at getting a ton of damage from a safe distance, and you do have playmaking with the Shurima Shuffle. I do feel like Azir kind of needs a front line, kind of needs somebody to tank up while they get set up and, start getting their soldiers set up. Don't really have that. You've got a Nautilus, sure, but other than that, you don't really have a lot of other people taking the attention away from you. And I do feel like Pinot has a much better front to back. And I think when you don't have that set up of a front line, I think you almost have to concede that and go. I almost would have rather seen like a Nico or an Ari or something in that vein. Obviously, Ari's banned, but something in that vein where you are feeling more comfortable being in the mix of things, and you don't feel like you need that front line so heavily. So it'll be interesting to see if that bites them in the butt because Kaisa has self peel, Nautilus content with going in, Lee Sin content with going in, Gangplank feels okay, being in the mix of things because of the barrels. Azir kind of the odd man out right there.
Yeah, I see what they're trying to do with the lack of frontline. It is a very unique tech. It is the idea that they're gonna have a kind of like a fake sort of front line. They're relying on their projectile kind of to be the front line. They're saying we're going to try and play disengage, and we're going to deter engages by having a bunch of barrels set up, right? It really relies on them getting set up to neutral objectives first, where they can allow Dobbins to set up multiple barrel chains and keep the front line at bay and set up big barrel chains in the back line. And like you talked about with Mui, he can set up a bunch of sand soldiers that just kind of deter any engage. It can work, but it's kind of like paper thin, right? It's kind of like it's really strong. It looks strong on the outside, right? But you can punch through it in an instant, and it will falter. So it's a really hard to play both of these champions late game because positioning of not only yourself, but barrels and sand soldiers come into the factor. So that's going to really be on Akuma Sabers. But like you talked about, if that falls, Viticulture and Pinot are going to be able to just steamroll front to back like very easily with the comp they put together.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up as well because it's also comp reliant. Because yeah, I mean it's a good point. Sure, they've got Kaiser poke, they've got Gangplank poke, they've got Azir poke. They definitely have that front line ahead of them. And Lee Sin also, does front line a little bit. Obviously not super tanky, but annoying to go into. Gets the shields, gets the healing, and builds more bruiserish. But when, when it's Rel and Orn face checking, as two of the
Yeah.
tankiest members in the game, I don't think they care that much about a lot of the poke. And so I
Right.
think that's my biggest concern. Also, Call of the Forge God into the quickness, into Rel, ulting. I just feel like that is a very, very dangerous game to play. And so, in my eyes, this Akuna Saber squad has to get ahead. It is kind of quintessential that they get ahead, because if they're playing from a deficit where they're constantly having to fight their way into objectives, just don't see it happening.
Yeah, they're going to have to get to objectives first and set up correctly and look for more skirmishes than big time battles. It is certainly where they're going to have to get to. The only time they'll be able to 5v5 is if they have, the damage items coming through and those, checkpoints across with also armor and magic pen on the Azir that you hope they'll build. Because there will get to a point if this game, like, if it goes as long as last game went, right? We went 40 minutes. 40 minutes, full build Gangplank, full build Azir. I don't really care how tanky you've built an Ornn or a Rel. Those champions just shred whoever they're hitting. So there's a lot going into this game, right? And I think we both highlighted the two sides of the coin very well, Bonfire. And we'll see which one of those really end up playing out. We're going to go back to another break and prepare yourselves, because if you watch game one, we might be in for another wild ride here on the Blue Otter Diamond League Showcase. Back on Summoner's Rift. You guys know the drill. Same old battle arena that we all have had a swing of emotions. And speaking of a swing of emotions, we all as viewers and casters had one last game. Craziest game of the Blue Otter Diamond League season so far. And both these teams looking to settle back in. We've got some familiar picks and some new tech coming out here. But what's important for Viticulture Pinot is to just win, baby.
Yeah, they don't really care how it happens. I mean, they could let this Gangplank get 30-0 as long as they win. I think they do not care. So they're gonna have to win this one to keep the series alive and kind of keep their season alive. This feels like almost a must-win game. Obviously not statistically, but you got to prove that you can beat the best teams that the league has to offer if you want to prove to yourself that you can win the league. And I think we've seen it from this Akuna Sabers squad. And something that's dangerous about them is it feels like they can win in a lot of different ways. Um, Go Feng Tang, I don't think is their main jungler, but is a very, very good player, a very, very good jungler. Mui, a very strong mid laner on a bunch of different picks, a bunch of different styles. And then Dobbin, I mean, it's an unbelievable game. So the fact that this Sabres squad can win in so many different ways is what makes them so dangerous. And for this Viticulture squad, they're gonna have to find a way to win, even with all of these high priority lanes coming at them.
You were right there. Guofeng Tong is not the normal jungler. It would be Cafe Chicolata that would normally be playing there for that Akuma Sabers roster. But, you know, he had some slip-ups in some of those moments, but also late in that game had a huge resonating strike into that kick as we see a dredge line land. And my God, where did Dawson's health bar just go?
Yeah, that's early game Kaisa doesn't exist, I suppose. Holy moly, that was a lot of damage for what many expect to be more of a late game pick, but Dawson got shredded right there, and it's gonna have to heal up. We'll be able to do so, but so much for that engage early on. Dawson is gonna have to play second fiddle to this Nautilus for quite a while.
That's a great point to make there, and I guess that's the power of running Hail of Blades on Kaisa's. If you can get those stacks up on her passive, it pops for a ton of damage early. So hits that W, able to get a bunch of autos in as we see that again once more. Exhaust immediately comes out from Dawson, who might be the sacrificial lamb, but Arch can't commit any final kills. Here comes Yike, misses on the crash down. Arch flashes away from it. We're trying to burn down Ichirat, but Guofeng Tong is here. Another beautiful dredge line from Ichirat. He is a perfect 3 for 3, and that cashes in first blood for his squad.
Yeah, Ichirat has been so impressive so far with the hooks because not only are they getting hooks, that's one thing. They're getting hooks on the right targets, and any support main who plays Hook Champions knows that is half the battle, right? Sure, you're able to hook the support. Doesn't really matter, though, if it's the support, but yeah, they're getting the hooks consistently on the same member every single time. They're hooking them into precarious situations, making sure they can't get out. Very, very strong Nautilus play, and being able to recognize their health bar as well. Still had flash up that entire time, but didn't flash out, stayed in the fight, got that last hook off that was necessary to ensure that they finished the kill.
And topside, we can see Dobbin doing a pretty good job here, trying to stack up the wave and keep it in an advantageous position so that Ball Squared can't jump on him. We know how Ornn can really combo chain. And getting a lot of gold out of that first strike as well. I don't know what Guofeng Tong was doing there, Bonfire. I'm just going to pretend it didn't happen. But first strike into that melee Ornn, I mean, he's just going to really accelerate himself, even if he's not really getting kills.
Okay, I realize what Guofeng Tong is doing. He's helping Mui push the wave because Mui wants to back. So I understand it. Now, hold on.
Caster Curse, hello? Dobbin, please don't make me eat my words. He does walk away. I think he had an orange if he needed it.
Yeah, early game Ornn damage is nothing to scoff at. I think people seem to forget that Ornn, at least for the first 7 or 8 minutes of the game, is just as strong as any other top laner.
Ooh, Dawson going forward that grand entrance, but Ichirat actually hooked him out of half his combo again. So while we don't know if Ichirat missed a hook off screen, the man is 4 for 4 when spotlighted so far.
Ichirat legacy game right here. This is what they show it is in Canton, Ohio at his Hall of Fame speech.
Canton, Ohio. Wait, that's a great question. Okay, so Canton is, all the major sports have a place where the Hall of Fame is. If you had to put a place where the League of Legends Hall of Fame would be, like an actual building, where in the world do you think it should go?
I mean, it's got to be Seoul, right? That's the boring answer, but it's got to be Seoul. South Korea, home of South Korea. That's where the Lowell Park is. That's where the LEC is played. Has to be Seoul. But if it was
you mean.
Yeah, or LCK, yeah. But if it was a fun one, if like each regional league had their own, I think that's a better question because then we can start to think, for probably LA, but I think there's a case to be made for it's probably LA and Berlin, and I guess probably, yeah.
Here's my counter logic to that, right?
Your counter logic gaming.
I was about to make that joke. Rest in peace, counter logic gaming. My counter logic is, when you think of all the main sports league Hall of Fames, they're in the most random towns, right?
Yes, that's true. Well, it's usually where they are from, like where the sport was created.
Ooh. Because we're going to have to shut up for a moment here. Ichirat, tanky enough to eat the brunt of that exchange, though. And yeah, so it is where they come from. So, Dobbin, don't get knocked up. Good flash to dodge Call of Forge. God, there's another dredge line from Dawson. Yike is around here. Are they going to toy with a dive? Mystic Shadow tanks a turret shot, but he's more than healthy. Guofeng Tang is now here as well. The mid laners are roaming down. Ichirat flashes to get a root, lands the dredge line, and look at Mui pop in with the Sharima shuffle, throws Yike to the wayside, and all the kills cleaned up in an instant for Akuma. Sabers. All Alpha Blastoise can do is walk away. We are watching the Mui show on grand display.
Yeah, that was beautiful from Mui right there, and again, Ichirat, I mean, flashing in to get the root with that much health and then going for the hook, just recognizing that Dobbin's ultimate was going to come in. Mui was in the works. They also had Guofeng Tang. Just talk about trust between these players, and then Mui, I think, was the highlight right there. But across the board, this team trusts each other. This team has great communication, showing why they're 3-1 and why they are a dangerous squad to go up against.
Looking to be 4-1 here as we have a 3-horse race for the top of the Blue Otter Diamond League so far. They put themselves in a great spot. What a great bounce back. I don't want to say game for Guofeng Tang, but just a bounce back early game from what we saw last time. He's now 2-0-1 on this Lee Sin, and while Lee Sin will fall off, you talked about that bonfire, if he gets gold early, can delete squishies if he gets on top of them.
Yeah, and getting a Lee Sin ahead is, you're always happy about that, but while we have a low state, I want to hear your argument, right? We were interrupted, but I was actually very invested. I'm curious to hear what case you would make.
So my logic was, I don't know where Riot Tryndamere and the company is. I'm gonna get interrupted again. Mystic Shadow doesn't actually get hooked, so they just force out the Feather Storm. Ichirat starting to toy with his food. I'm gonna make an argument real quickly and say wherever Riot Tryndamere and company invented League of Legends, like what town they were in, that's where you should put the Hall of Fame.
All right, I can see that argument. I can definitely see that argument. I guess you're probably right. It probably wouldn't be Seoul because not really much of League was created in Seoul, right? Like, that's like saying the NFL Hall of Fame should be in Dallas or Pittsburgh because that's where the most legacy players are.
He's gonna land that hook, gets a bunch of good damage down.
Should be, yeah.
Really low health. They're still trying to zone them off of here, and nothing really to be had there.
Yeah, they had G2 Yike in the wings. I wasn't really too concerned. Now I'm a little concerned for Ichirat and Arch.
Oh, another hook gonna land across though. Dawson getting jumped on now by Yike. They're trying to just knock up and burn Ichirat now. Getting low HP, backing up. Mystic Shadow is gonna find that kill. Arch now stuck under the turret, and he's able to limp right away.
Yeah, just unfortunate timing right there. Unfortunate timing right there from Ichirat to go in for a hook. Talk about Hall of Fame speeches. Needs to finish his career first. And
Mui! Another big stream of shuffle. No kills just yet, though. He's got the Santos in the right spot, trying to mop them up. Here comes Alpha Blastoise, and he's got enough damage. It's Yike to steal the kill. It's topside. Dobbin is able to get a kill over Guofeng Tang and makes it Akuma Sabers to come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive from Mui, but they found it difficult to get the damage across. Still ended up being a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. And then in the top lane, who else but Dobbin, right? Making sure something happened, orchestrating a kill onto the Ornn, and then Guofeng Tang, even as a substitute, still showing prowess, still showing poise, able to help out, and is now the benefactor of a lot of these kills, 3-0-1.
3-0-1, just completed that Black Cleaver, as you can see now. He's got over 1,000 gold lead on his jungle counterpart. Every lane right now is somewhat ahead of their counterpart in gold across the board, and that's why Akuma Sabers are sitting at a 3,000 gold lead, and that just means so much more than the score shows because it's at 10 minutes into this one bonfire.
Yeah, I mean, this one feels tough for Viticulture because they're not really getting the leads that you would expect them to get. If not expect them to get that they got last game, right? Last game they had a Fed Zaya. This game they definitely do not have a Fed Zaya. 1 in 3. Mystic Shadow just continuously getting abused by this Nautilus, not having the same success this bot lane had in the previous game, and I think there's a lot of danger on this on the Sabers squad, right? They've got a Mui, they've got an Azir that's ahead, probably more than they would expect him to be, but a kill on Arch would be good. That ward is going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Well, that's the power of running Umbral Glaive in the bottom lane, is that Arch is helping out on the ward clearing division. Is they're once again to dive in and do good doubles. Charm immediately cleansed by Arch. Itchy Rat far too tanky to fall. They're diving on a turret. Huge double Metal Storm pulling them back in. Arch has to use Killer Instinct defensively, but Mui shows up in the nick of time once more. Mystic Shadow's gonna get one, but he's traded back out. Dawson now on the wrong side of the jungle. But Mui has no way to really slow him down. Gets a couple good Sand Soldiers, forces the grand entrance. And somehow that ends up being a trade unless Guofeng Tang has something to say about it. Good usage of the minions here from Alpha Blastoise. It just doesn't let him get a Sonic Wave off. The guy just can only kick, but he kills him off first. What an outplay, Alpha Blastoise.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what Guofeng Tang was doing right there, but ends up dying. Gives a massive shutdown over. Not really what you want to be doing, but still, the Mui show is on at all points in time. It is a 24/7 show, baby. It is just always on because Mui is showing out right now on this Azir pick, having a fantastic game. 2-1-2, 101 CS. And has been really a huge playmaker on this Azir, which you don't always see. Sometimes Azirs can be a little bit more passive, play a bit more like a mage. But this has been a fantastic game for Mui. But somebody that we haven't really called their name a lot, Alpha Blastoise, 1-0-1, keeping up with CS. This is Victor. Will be a problem as this game goes on.
And that was just such a high-level play there. To not lose your cool, try to run back to your turret. There's a couple champions in League where if you stay in this comfort of your minions, you just nerf their damage. Lee Sin, a lot of his damage comes from landing that Sonic Wave and getting the resonating strike across. It can do execute damage on low health members. Other champions like Graves, he doesn't get any auto attack damage if you're in minions. These minions are blocking. Ezreal, you're not hitting Mystic Strikes through those minion waves. And like you talked about, Alpha Blastoise now 1-0-1. He's got to have at least one of those upgrades on Victor's kit, sheerly from that kill. I think 2 now with the farm he has as well. And Victor is about just as scary, if not more, than Azir as the game goes on.
Yeah, will be a huge problem. Already has the item as well. This Azir still has to back for theirs, and so good in the itemization.
Ooh, Dawson is going to get jumped on. The depth charge comes out defensively. The cannon barrage over top for extra damage. There's a good charm over the wall. Arch can't finish the kill onto Dawson. That shifty Rakan. Teleport flank comes out from balls squared. He won't be able to find anything, but maybe just here to guarantee the Drake goes the way of Viticulture Pinot.
Yeah, that teleport could have some real ramifications. I mean, it's good, sure, that they're able to get it. Hold on. Oh, no, go for tag.
Oh, he didn't flash far enough, so the kick doesn't get anything. He's lucky to be alive. He's going to limp away here. The Drake gonna be picked up. Itchy Rat gets popped by Mystic Shadow, but it's Mui again! Every time you think Akuma Sabers are done, this guy Shurima shovels them back to glory.
Mui is a superstar right now. Unbelievable work. Still ends up being a 2-for-1. And the Dragon, but that's first turret.
Look at Dobbin.
Continues. I know, Dobbin continues where Dobbin left off. Man, Mui's looking really good right now, and Dobbin is happy to get the free turret right there. I was going to mention that before the fight had, kicked off. That teleport could have some real implications because, yeah, it's great that they get the Dragon, but realistically, it's not the most important Dragon in the world, and Dobbin is just going to get so unbelievably ahead because of it. 140 CS, 0-0 and 2. Platings, every single plating, like you mentioned. I mean, that's all in Dobbin's pocket. Every single plating went to Dobbin pretty much. This is a massive gangplank. And also, it's going to finish their call soon as an item. I mean, this is a scary sight for anybody on this Viticulture squad.
Yeah, he's maybe going to start min-maxing up against balls. Those cannons not starting to do, or barrels not starting to do too much yet, but you talked about, right? He's going to sell the coal. He's got to be sitting on just a crap ton of gold right now as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was curious how much gold he was sitting on, if we could see that really quick.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
That's an item.
That's a full item, and probably boots as well. I mean, that is a scary gangplank.
Just instant buys of Ori Quick Blade. So he instant bought a mythic off of that entire side lane experience.
Well, and the coal finishes in 7 as well, which is more gold. I mean, that's going to be boots. Terrifying. I mean, it is scary hours for anybody on the squad. Going to be listening to Marvin's room soon if they have to go against him. But actually, I didn't want to mention it, but I'm curious how many Drake references I can get in a cast. It's just a totally random bonfire moment of the game. How much Drake I can get in.
Well, that depth charge was for all the boys there, and maybe that double knockup might have been as well. They've got Arch trapped as Yike is just perma-camping bot side. They'll find the first one. The Cannon Barrage is going to pick up 2 kills. So somehow this is looking like a trade. Alpha Blastoise is going to come over here. They're going to try and handshake the kill over to this Victor, and they will get him that kill. But my God, if Dobbins needed any more gold, as if.
Yeah, Dobbin going back to back right now. Started from the bottom. Now he's here. Now it's feeling a little forced, I'll be honest. This Dobbin, might be in the wrong place.
How many times can you knock up one Gangplank? Good flash. Guofeng Tang, that's a beautiful kick. He's able to stave off Ball Squared from training his top laner. Guofeng Tang might have the kill here. That Sonic Wave, does he take it? No, that's wise. Won't go under the turret there, but at least save Dobbins from a big shutdown swing.
Oh, and that is, yeah, that's some damage right there. Dobbin does a lot of damage. 202. Actually, if we want to pull up we're just going to get live Dobbin Gold's graph at all points in time. We'll pull up the gold right now. Just finished the Cole, got 2 kills. Yeah, it's 2,100 gold in your pocket. Sure, why not? More than 3,000 gold on anybody else on Summoner's Rift. Sure, why not?
Oh
Dobbin is a rich, rich man.
I mean, this is a notice to everyone in the Blue Water Diamond League. If you want to beat Akuma Sabers, you have to go through their solo lanes. I mean, their solo lanes have quite literally won them, I really think won them game 1. And outside of Itchy Rat's really good hooks early game, it's really been the Mui and Dobbin show.
Yeah, look, can't spell Dobbin without Ben. And he's playing like the LPL top laner right now. I'll just say that. We've never seen Dobbin and Bin in the same place at the same time, all right? BLG has some explaining to do because this guy is pretty unbelievable.
Listen, Bonfire, if we're going to let G2 Yike play for Viticulture Pinot, gotta let Ben play for Akuma Sabers, right?
This is, they both just
wait. That's
what?
a Moonstore Renewer on Lee Sin.
What are they cooking? I mean, wait, okay. Here's the thing. Last game, sure, I get it, right? Sure, you're down in gold, don't have the kills, you want to be helpful. Yeah, why not? You're 4-1, my guy. You're 4-1. Oh my gosh, Bowie.
That's the Moonstore Renewer tech right there, folks. Guofeng Tang did everything to get that kill by himself. Mui did nothing, actually. All the credit goes to Lee Sin right there.
Dude, Mui is unbelievable. Dobbin and Mui and Dobbin. I mean, they are such an unbelievable side lane threats. And Arch is not so bad themselves either on the Kaisa. But realistically, how can you ever stand out when you've got side laners like Mui and Dobbin? It's just not fair. Arch is gonna pull like a ruler where he's like, I cannot play with Chovy. I don't know. G2 Yike. Come on, man. Yeah, it's just gonna get. I mean, eventually.
Wait, don't let it crash.
After a long period of time, it's not going to. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, here's the fight breaking out. Dawson, quickness popped, gets 1 charm, immediately cleansed. Arch flashes out, and man, did the damage come over top. Mui's back here. The Cannon Barrage doing so much, and here comes Dobbin trying to set up the barrels. Itchy Rat into the fray. He does end up getting killed off. Good call the Forge God from Balls, but there's the barrel. Just deletes Yike. See you later from distance. Alpha Blastoise is up way too far. Guofeng takes Moonstone Renewer. Will grab that kill and a second. Don't ever question this guy's build paths because he's picking up all the kills. Ace Akuma Sabers.
I'm going to lose my mind, and Viticulture Pinot is going to lose everybody on their team. Unbelievable work from Akuma Sabers. You want to talk about the team shaking the nerves off? They're just having fun. They're treating this like it's a regular Tuesday night in solo queue. Or in flex queue, I suppose, because there's 5 of them.
And
that's what you love to see.
Renewer.
Yeah, I mean, if
that's what you do in flex
on my team, if anybody on my team built Moonstone Renewer on Lee Sin, I maybe wouldn't have the nicest things to say to them. But also, if they went 8-1-3, I'd probably have very nice things to say to them. So, double-edged sword. All I saw right there was Dobbin's damage. I don't want to sound like too much of a glazer, but holy moly, this guy can put it out. And, I mean, it's just all cylinders are firing. This Viticulture Pinot squad is in danger because they are down 10,000 gold at the 20-minute mark. They are in dire straits.
Well, now they got to find something. And here goes Dawson trying to create more. Good flash from Itchy Rat. Won't get stunned by the lance forward from G2. Yike there. And yikes. 11K gold lead for Akuma Sabers. It is just insane to me to think how the series flipped from where we were at game one, where Viticulture and Pinot looked like they were just about a steamroll.
Yeah, and this is like when you talk about really good players, right? You talk about players that are such a danger to the rest of the league. It's not only when they get a lead, right? It's not only doing well, getting themselves a lead. It's also when they're behind. And that's, I think, what's been so impressive about this Akuna Sabres squad is they've shown resilience, and they've shown that the players are ready to step up when they are needed to do so, right? You know, they have members on their team that are ready to say, yeah, I know we're in a hole. I know that things don't look great right now, but I'm going to be the playmaker. I'm going to let this, take these into my hands. And it feels like right now, Dobbin, Mui, and Ichirat are those players. It feels like they're always in the position. They're always ready to make the plays necessary. Don't tell them the odds, we'll say. And, it's always a great thing to have on your team.
I just can't wait to watch this team in playoffs, because by this point, I'm convinced, we're not going to be 4 weeks in, or 5 weeks in, excuse me.
5 weeks in, yeah.
They're going to be 4-1. I believe top 4, maybe? No, more than that. I'm trying to think of
top 6. Maybe?
Top 6 make playoffs. So they're probably going to be a shoo-in, and they might be a shoo-in for this fight win. Good set of charms from Dawson to make sure nobody from Viticulture Pinot dies. But you have to find kills. Not dying in a fight is sure nice, but when you're down double-digit gold, it's just a delaying factor. Mui might have overstepped. Good thing he had Flash available. He's able to trade out Mystic Shadow's Flash, and the min-maxing nearly gets punished.
Yeah, I was going to say, even though they didn't get killed, they did give up so much map space and so much vision control, and so they have no clue what's going on right now, right? They have no vision. They did just drop a ward, so now they finally do know, but at this point it might be too late, and Ichirat's just playing bodyguard.
Yep, that's like a true knowledge player. Yike, by the way, didn't get over the wall with the crash down. Now let's use the Metal Storm. They do actually blow Ichirat out of the water, but that was only the tank. Good. Ooh, Duskblade nearly saves Arch from the trade. Mui's very low, able to get one back here. Well, Feng Tang able to go rack in. Big shuffle once more from Mui. He throws him into Dobbin. The big throw up into the dunk comes across for Mui, and he's unstoppable in the fight. My God.
Yeah, you kind of just have to laugh at a certain point. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. He's playing Azir, by the way. Remember when I had said, Azir wants to stay behind the back line, stay safe, doesn't really want to be in the mix of things. Mui said, yeah, screw that. I'm going to be in the rave. I'm going to be in the middle of the pit, and I'm going to be moshing with the rest of them. And, yeah, it's just unbelievable what this guy is able to do. God, what an unbelievable player we have in this league in Mui. And I'm sure that everybody in Twitch chat's gonna say, like, man, this guy is such a huge fan of this Sabres squad, but I'm genuinely not. I really don't care about either of these teams. I just think that this guy is unlike a lot of players that I've seen in mid lane, in the fact that they are not only happy sitting behind the front line and getting kills, but also creating their own luck. It's refreshing, to say the least.
You know what's also refreshing, Bonfire? Guo Fengtong's Lee Sin build.
Oh, yes.
He's now got a Spirit Visage, third item, in case you're curious what he was going. I just like your live thoughts on that. I just like your live thoughts.
Live Bonfire reaction, I don't know. It's just weird. All right, Dobbin, baby, let's see what you got.
You got 1v3 last game. They're going to try it once more here. CC chaining across. He can't get a barrel out. He's way too low by this point. And he will actually get shut down, so really well played there by Viticulture Pinot, just not letting him play the game. Can't stack barrels if you are perennially knocked up.
Yeah, but this is what Dobbin does, right? We saw it in the last game on Sion too. Side lane's a little too hard, maybe Cook's a little bit too what?
I mean, what are we doing?
Okay. All right. Last us. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have words for that. I was gonna say this is what Dobbin does. Cook's a little too hard in the side lanes, ends up falling to like 3 or 4 members, and then Blastoise did that, and then Guofeng Tong decided to be a jump scare for a moment. Just weird stuff across the map. But I think the most important thing is that Sabres are up 15,000 gold. So feeling pretty confident no matter what happens that they can close this game out. 15,000 gold.
I'd like to remind everybody at home that the Blue Water League is sponsored by Coachify.gg. If you think you can coach better,
15,000 gold.
if you think you can coach better, make sure to sign up and help out your fellow North American League of Legends players.
15,000 gold. That's a lot of gold. It's a lot of gold for an end game screen. 15,000 gold at 26.5 minutes is insane. Also,
Well,
shout out Coachify.
Sound Coachify. They're going to go in here, and here is another big shuffle from Mui. This guy looks like the mailman. He's taking the Pistons, aka the Sabers, to a big-time win here. He may have fallen, but they're mopping up the kills in his honor. Arch picks up a double. There's a big barrel coming across from Dobbin. It's a wipe once more. 3 big kills, and potentially 4. The base broken, and this is looking like a sweep. Get your brooms out, folks, because Akuma Sabers are looking to be the top dog in the Blue Water Diamond League.
Yeah, they are absolutely dominant. This is a difficult team for just about anybody in the league to have to go into. If you come at the king, you best not miss. Viticulture Pinot showed really fantastic first half of the first game, but they ran out of steam, and yeah, the Sabers brought enough for the class. They very much had enough steam in the tank.
Yeah, look at that
Keep
shield.
this one going. Yeah, look, this is the new tech, man. You talk about the Umbral Kaisa. This is what you need to be building on Lee Sin, I suppose. All right, guys, end the game. All right, end the game, guys. All right, guys, end the game.
Oh my God, Mui had another one. Of course he did. Another flawless
like
shuffle.
You almost had like a WWE call right there. Like, oh my God, Mui from that top row. Oh my goodness. By the way, 20,000 gold lead at the end of that game.
This is by far the most wacky broadcast I've ever been on. This is it. That's going, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. 2-0 win for Akuma Sabers. They are looking dominant as ever, chaotic as ever as well, Bonfire.
Yeah, just strange builds and weird teams, and that's the gold graph that your team wants to see. I don't think I've ever seen 20,000 gold difference at 28 minutes. That is a lopsided difference, to say the least, and an easy.
Down here is base camp, and up there at all the way up there is peak of Mount Everest. In case anyone was curious.
Yeah, it's absolute decimation across the board. I mean, look at the kills, or the gold or not the gold, the damage distribution. Kind of insane. I will say I like the adaptation from the Lee Sin, right? Yes, I do damage, but obviously I'm apparently not that good at Lee Sin doing damage, so I'm just going to focus on shielding and healing, and hey, it worked, I guess.
Moonstone Renewer Lee Sin, undefeated in competitive play. You heard it here first from the Blue Water Diamond League. Bonfire, that we know of. Bonfire, it's been fun, but well, let's close out this chaotic thing. What are your final thoughts on this Akuma Saber squad and going forward? Is playoffs is kind of around the corner.
Build the Hall of Fame in LA. Fresca is the best soda, and this Akuma Saber squad is cooking. They are Gordon Ramsay on the stove, man. This team is scary hours for anybody that has to go into it. Shout out another Drake reference. And yeah, I would not want to go against this team in my solo queue games. And yeah, Mui and Dobbins, 1-2 punch. Those are my final thoughts.
Well, guys, that's going to close out our broadcast for this week here with the Blue Otter Diamond League. But don't worry, Blue Otter Leagues are coming at you non-stop. You're going to make sure to come back next week because Blue Otter Masters League with our 2 good friends, I believe, hopefully Yanni and Shibi on that one. That league has been arguably more chaotic than this one, and that is saying something for what we have watched. Big shout out, as always, my duo, my partner in crime here, Bonfire. Always a pleasure to cast with you, my man. And Caddy, behind the scenes, the producer extraordinaire, who quite literally points out things while we're on broadcast that we don't see, like the Moonstone Renewer pick. Make sure, guys, to follow Blue Otter on all the socials, as the content is going to keep on churning out. And come back here next week in Yarko and go for Reno. We'll have you guys as we chug along towards that playoff break. But for now, enjoy the rest of the weekend as you can. And we'll see you guys again when we see you. Take care.